Hello, hello, everyone. It is Kenyon here, Basketball Rewind. I'm joined by Coach Roach. I'm joined by Beyond the Locker Room. We're here. We're mainly going to be talking about Olympic basketball. So if you're here to talk about Scotty Barnes and how they're going to be the sixth seed, you know what? Stay tuned until maybe a couple weeks from now when it actually matters. Don't really need to talk about the Vegas odds. Wasn't good. We'll leave it at that. NBA over. Okay, so I'm gonna go through. We have the USA team, chatting up the Serbian team, playing them right now, currently as we speak. We also are just gonna go through basically how the different groups are looking. So, without a further ado, let's start with the Canadian group. Group A is comprised of Australia, Canada, Greece, and Spain. Australia already played Spain. They took care of business there. I'm going to kind of go through these things quickly, but I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, 90-80, if I'm not mistaken, for that game. Canada, we took care of business, barely, against Greece. But we did take care of business. And so those are your top two teams in the group stage. I think the points per game is a factor in this when the teams are tied. So right now, because we scored less points than Australia, Australia has the lead in our group. Group B, Germany. Germany and France both took care of business. We're going to dig into the games in just a second. Brazil with Bruno, if you're a Raptors fan, Bruno did not take care of business this time. And Japan did not really score more than 77 points.
Bruno, he's still 2 years away, man.
He is still 2 years away from being 2 years away. Or just maybe now he's away. Right now, you have Puerto Rico versus... for Group C, Puerto Rico, South Sudan, U.S. and Serbia. U.S. and Serbia are playing right now. The South Sudan and Puerto Rico have already played this morning. So, sorry, people, that this isn't coming out at the exact point, but this is the time that we have. So we hope that this will be relevant. It's still going to be relevant for all games not named the USA and Serbia. South Sudan took care of business. They came ready to play. 90-79 was that game. I don't think we have to go much further than that. I think, when you get disrespected like that, you're coming ready to play. Most notable on their team right now, in terms of players that, really, really stood out. You're going to say Carlik Jones. JT Thor's on that team. He did all right. But Carlik Jones really led all scorers for that one. For Puerto Rico, of course, Jose Alvarado. He he did his best, but sometimes the little engine that could just cannot. So we'll just leave those where they are. Moving along, the Serbian team right now, I'm just going to make sure that this is up to date, but they are down by 10, so this is up to date against the USA team. But the Embiid minutes we will get to in a second, because those are the most interesting. France took care of business. Is probably Batum's last run. But the key thing with France is that their bigs are going to dominate at the same time. They're going to, and shout out Nando De Colo, of course, Raptor legend. We're going to obviously see them struggle from a guard perspective. So we'll just leave that there. But they did beat, 78-66 was their score against, Mr. Bruno Caboclo. And that's a notable name for Brazil. Sorry about this, guys, but I just want to get through all of the scores that we've done so far so that people are
A
totally
graveyard
up
of
to
all
date.
the it's a graveyard of all the bad Raptors drafted. Man. Holy
It is
smoke!
like Isaac Bonga on Germany. So there's another shout out to him. Franz Wagner obviously is leading the German team, as well as everyone's favorite point guard on the Raptors, Dennis Schroeder. If I'm not mistaken, the German national team head coach is actually Canadian. Coach will be able to correct me if I'm wrong.
Hey, Dr.
Gordy
Schroeder,
Herbert, yeah, he is.
I'm sorry. I was
Yep.
gonna say, wasn't Schroeder the flag bearer for Germany?
I believe so, yeah. And he talked about how amazing it was. Because again, we know, history of Germany is the history of Germany. We'll leave it at that. Against Against all odds, Germany beat Japan 97-77. Of course, shouting out old Raptors, Yuta Watanabe, you know, Rui Hachimura, other team, and they were the ones that really highlighted all scores on there. Finally, the team that I believe we're facing them next, which is going to be Australia, and that's going to be the next test for Canada. They took care of business against the Spanish national team. Of course, Santi Aldama is on the Spanish national team. I don't know really anyone else. There's obviously, Bo Cruz and his brother did play. Rudy Fernandez did play. I think Lorenzo Brown, another Raptors legend.
Yeah, playing for Spain.
905 legend. Yeah, he played for Spain. But they could only muster 80 points against Australia's 92. And there are going to be some interesting. Oh yeah, also I forgot Usman Garuba, who used to play for the Houston Rockets. So it's them versus obviously guys like Matthew Dellavedova, Joe Ingles, Josh Green, Patty Mills, Josh Giddey, and of course Dyson Daniels and a lot others. Of course there's a lot of guys to play on that Australian team, although they don't have the best bigs. So now we get to the more interesting thing, which is a look ahead as I, ignore the American team until the very end. So, what'd you guys think of the game? Team Canada, we played.
It was certainly competitive. Um, I think Canada did enough throughout the game just like stay over the hump with Greece. What I mean is Greece would make little runs and then they would kind of stop in their tracks. Like basketball is a game of runs in general. And everybody had their run. Greece just never had that big run against Canada. And certainly they had opportunities to do that. In the game, I noticed Kalathis and Giannis, they missed a ton of free throws. That could have been easily a difference in the game had they made their free throws, but luckily they didn't for Canada's sake. I thought that Giannis was dominant. I think he had what 31 points or was it 34 points he had? I'm just checking here. Giannis had 34 points. He was 11 to 17 from the field. He was actually I said he didn't make his free throws. He was 12 of 15 from the free throw line, but I think there were some free throws that he didn't make that would have been timely free throws. But Kalathis was 0 for 4 from the free throw line, and he's their main guard. Um, in the game, look, RJ Barrett has been Mr. Consistent for Team Canada ever since we've had our exhibition play right up to now. Jay's been the closer. I'm really appreciating Dort and Brooks and Nikhil Alexander Walker's energy, especially on the defensive end. They're picking these guys up either three-quarter court or full court. And Kenyon, I believe you had said in a space about the importance of that in order to keep the ball out of Giannis's hands. And there was something interesting about that yesterday. By the time they got the ball up the floor, there's 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Hard to run an offense when you only have 10 seconds left. You got to rush, and whenever you rush, you make bad decisions. So I think that was a good point for Canada's defense, especially guarding full court or out on the perimeter. Now they struggled trying to keep up with Greece, match up with them inside, or if they get caught with some of their big 3-point shooters. But overall, for a first game, and not only that, but running into the best player that you're going to face in the group of death, I think they did just fine.
Yeah, beyond you, what are your thoughts?
Um, Honestly, I thought that should have been about 12 to 15 point win. I think that they were sloppy at times. Firstly, I think their defense wasn't bad at all. That's not where the problem was. The problem was on offense. Too many stalled possessions, too many indecisiveness on who should have the ball when. Then there's the Jamal Murray situation, which I'm sure we'll dig into a little bit more. The bench units were a little bit, we were leaking oil with some of those bench units at times. And you've mentioned it before. We've all mentioned it. This is where you do miss, in this case, having a guy at Wiggins, or even say Mathurin was healthy, and just having one more guy that could create some type of form of create double teams. And right now, yeah, they'll beat Greece, and who knows? We'll see what happens with Australia. I think they should be the favorite. They'll beat Australia, but yeah, there's some things that are concerning to me right now that I mean that yeah that they gotta get straightened out. And I'm not sure, to be honest with you, if it's not really a Geordie thing. This is on certain players.
Yeah, I think overall the coaching decisions on the whole, strategy wise, I really liked. They did a good job of getting RJ, downhill, coming off DHOs. There's a couple actions because once you get that, you're using your players to their distinct advantages. That was one thing that I really liked about Jordy's offense. The ball didn't really seem to stick too much. It's sometimes it's a sticking point with what we've seen in the past. So I thought it was pretty good, and I really liked the strategy. Obviously Shea does this thing, and when that happens, it's like give him the ball and move out the way kind of a thing. But overall, I thought the rebounding was good from the guards. I thought the overall strategy and the mix of offense was really good. It's not really a European offense in a traditional sense, even though our coach for Team Canada is European. One of the things that he talked about, because we all like to talk about, coaches that get hired and the papers that they publish and yada yada yada. Guess what? Well, Jordy did that. I read the paper just like I read Darko's, and his thing is about the importance of a possession and not passing too much, but not also passing too little. Because the more you pass, the more turnovers that you could have. So it's having those right passes and having the passes come from the right spots. And that's, I think, what we're seeing. There are a couple of times where I think Kelly missed, you know, Murray cutting, but in general, you don't want to have to rely on Kelly initiating that much offense anyways. You don't want to turn it into what we did in the World Cup because that's where you get into trouble. And to your guys' points, that's where your transition lineups, run into a little bit of trouble. I think a good jumping off point is to talk about the how FIBA is different than the NBA. It's a lot slower, and how that can you talked about it. So I'm going to go back to you beyond in terms of like Nemhard or guys like that, where you're used to playing a much more frenetic pace, and essentially, I mean, I'd have to double check, but just by the guess, I would say that compared to the NBA, I mean, you're looking at 80 to 90 points, so you're probably looking at about 15 less possessions per game compared to playing on a team that scores 125 plus per night. Um,
You're playing at college basketball pace.
yeah, it's a lot slower. The court shrunk a little bit more,
The
so
court's smaller. That's a big thing.
you have to be a bit more methodical for that reason, which is why a guy like Shea has really been a godsend for our team. So
Look at
yeah,
the
I
guys
just wondering what your guys'
guys
thoughts
that
are.
look at the guys that do well in this type of thing, right?
Hmm.
Methodical. LeBron James doesn't have a problem in this type of thing. Jokic, right?
Yep.
Even to some extent, Kevin Durant. The guys in this case that know where they gotta go and what spots they gotta be in, they
Hmm.
flourish in this type of system. Drew Holiday, no problem.
Derek White.
They're used to more freewheeling in this case here, a la Damian Lillard, for example. They may struggle a little bit more in this type of system, this type of flow in this case. And it wasn't pretty for Dame last time when they had that. You had a half decent finals, a gold medal game, but overall in the tournament, it wasn't pretty for him at all.
Right. Right. And coach, your thoughts as well.
Yeah, like kind of like Beyond said, this is like an NCAA court. And like, and you said as well, the court is smaller, so it does benefit certain players. You don't have to be a massive defensive uh, player of the year to be good at defense in this type of basketball. The reffing is different as well. Quite frankly, I actually like the reffing in Olympic basketball better than I do in the NBA. You kind of get to see who really flourishes. Like there's no favoritism. There's no, oh, you're the superstar. We're going to give you the superstar treatment. I really don't see that in FIBA or in Olympic basketball. And I like how there's no defensive three in the key in this basketball. I like how you could kind of just hit it off the rim. So I'm a fan of this type of basketball.
I would say one thing with the officiating that I do wonder a little bit. Now I don't know if you guys watch more international play I guess more international play from the standpoint of like different clubs around the world in this case, or different leagues around the world, be it Spain, Greece, wherever the case may be. Italy. I don't know if they're reffing the same way as they would in those leagues, or is it distinctively a FIBA type of refereeing? Because a FIBA type of refereeing, you can referee and swallow the whistle a bit more when you're playing pretty much one and done. I'm not sure if you have an 82 game season plus X amount of playoffs, could you referee this way and have anybody still healthy by the time the season's done?
Yeah, that's a
Right?
that's a whole. You might have to
Yeah,
get rid of the in-season tournament. We'll put it that way.
like I don't know how that would work out, for like a
Especially taking the ball off the rim because that is like you're jumping up higher, more. Um,
think of the athletes you have in the NBA, how many guys we jumping over guys' backs for dunks, right? Now, it might be exciting for us as a fan to see that, and you're gonna have a ton of stuff on all sorts of memes about it on every social media platform. But how many injuries could come from that?
well, you actually have to wonder why if that's why a lot of Europeans who come over later, especially, struggle in the NBA because in the international rules they could be more physical and be worse defenders in terms of like their positional
Well, I think,
stuff.
yeah. Well, some of them in this case, I mean, be honest with you, in this case, some of them from an athletic standpoint can get away with that more with the style of play.
Yep.
Unfortunately, when they come over here, they gotta get exposed, bigger court, faster pace. You're out there on an island, and it's like, oops, I don't have no one backing me up because the guy who had been 2 feet from me is now 4 feet from me in this league. There's no help now, a huge gap. So, yeah, that part I do wonder. Going back to coach's point with the refereeing, I wonder how that plays out in like an NBA season. Because even back in the old days, yes, it was you would have some physicality. I would say probably, and I'm not trying to be bashing guys when I say so, but I think the whistle changed when a particular number 23, a guy played in Chicago, the whistle started to change. I'll just say that. Let's leave it at that. At one point, it was a little, the refereeing styles were much closer. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, and we're seeing this in this game that's kind of unfolding before our eyes, which is because it's a slower paced game in general, you're going to see, again, in general, every single possession gets magnified. So I think we were talking about it, for example, comparing some of Nemhard's mistakes versus Lou Dort's mistakes versus anyone's mistakes, and why you have to be careful about those transition lineups from a Canadian basketball standpoint. If you play such a fast style, you don't get down on, oh, I just screwed up last possession because you're going to the next possession. I mean, whereas for here it was like there was like 2.5 minutes left, and I was like, we just need two possessions that are successful to seal the game. Like that's all you were looking at. And when you throw away possessions or you don't value a possession in the same manner, it gets scary because you really Embiid's a perfect example. Like any possession that's thrown away is now magnified, right? A 10-point lead is just that you're now instead of think I at least how I think of it, I don't think of it as points, I think of it as possessions. And I'm like, okay, a 10-point lead that's like call it three and a half, three possessions depending on free throws and stuff, potentially,
Right.
you know. And it's like how are you, you know, stretching the possession game out. I also, this is a side note, I like how they handle jump balls where they don't have jump balls, it's just a possession arrow to kind of
Yeah,
even
College.
that's
the
college
playing
and high
field.
school.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't done that since I played in high school, and then I was a scorekeeper a little bit in high school, here and there, and learning all the rules. That was a lot of fun. So, I like it, but it's just something different. So it looks like right now it's the American team has ballooned their lead up to 80-65. It looks like Embiid is not on the court, so that definitely helps them.
No, yeah, but I
Um,
mean, I do like to hear the Van Halen, man. Come on now. Like, I mean, I would miss that.
True,
That or
that's
the
true.
Chris Rock. Like, come on, man. Like, what the guy you do in the arena music, man? Like, you don't have that there, man. You just hear the Van
Yeah.
Halen or the Chris Cross kicking in there. Come on now.
That's true. That's true.
I just want to
Um,
say one thing about the Canada, the whole Olympics for Canada. We know that Shea's number one, and he's always going to be number one. He's the superstar. is Stephen A. Smith. He's a superstar.
Box office.
Uh, yeah. My thing is, who's next? Who's next for
Sure.
Canada?
That's a
Oh,
good
this
question.
gets to the Murray discussion, right?
And it's been R.J. Barrett,
Yes.
and Raptor fans should be excited for him. This year it's been incredibly efficient during this um, exhibition Olympic run, even dating back to FIBA, and he's just looking like he's looking better coming into next season. They're going to need him to get 20 a night basically during the Olympics if they want to have a chance to win. It can't
Well,
just be Shea. It can't just be
okay, I'm gonna pose this to you, Coach. Do you think in this case, as RJ Barrett as your quote second option, can this team medal if he's your second option?
medal. Yes, gold. Don't
Yeah,
know.
you might be looking closer
No,
to
I
a
don't think I
bronze.
don't know about the gold, but medal technically by what you just said, I think so.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
I
I
think
think
it's tough because ideally RJ should be relegated to your third best, if
I
everyone's healthy,
agree.
if everyone's actually, there's a Jamal Murray people. It's
Man, let's stop beating around the bush here, man. This is basketball rewind. Let's get to it. We know what we're discussing. We're kind of tipping-toeing around it. Let's just get and dive into the water.
okay,
Okay?
Jamal Murray
Yeah,
just needs to straight up show up. He hasn't.
Thank you. Thank
he's a
you.
shell of
I don't know.
himself.
I don't know how else to say it other than that. The dude ain't showing up, and he isn't putting his, no pun intended, his best foot forward. Okay, he needs to. If you're serious about a medal and you are someone that fought to be here in many ways, I don't care whether the contract's signed or not. You're going for a legacy at this point. You're an NBA, you know, champion. You said you said that you said this to Nick Nurse, maybe not to this coach, but you said that you wanted to win gold. You wanted to be a world champion. This is one of your only chances because I don't know how your health is going to hold up in 2028. You aren't exactly a bastion of health. So you have to come correct. You have to step it up. But also from a coaching standpoint, I guess we can get into this. They have to use him a little bit differently because you pointed out that they're using him more as a two and Nemhard as a one, and they need to switch that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Nemhard should not. I don't know what elixir Nemhard has on these coaches that makes them think that he's a point guard. Like I thought it was a Rick Carlisle thing, and now I realize no, these coaches actually out here thinking Nemhard should be running point. And I'm sitting there going like, there's no way on God's green earth that if Jamal Murray is right in frame of mind and right in physicality, that he should not be the point guard running any second unit over Andrew Nemhard. Like that should never happen.
Well, is it potentially because, and I'll get coaching on this too, is it potentially because they're trying to limit his decision making later on in a possession?
Who's the decision making?
Andrew.
But you but here's the thing. What you just said, if that's the case, that is the wrong philosophy.
Yeah,
Because this goes
yeah.
back to Pacers.
I'm just trying to logic it through of
Here's what I'm
why.
saying. So here's why I would say in this case here, and I'm not saying you're wrong what you're saying. All I'm saying is if they're thinking that, why am I trying to work around Andrew Nemhart? Andrew Nemhart should be right. That's the
I guess because he'll
problem.
be here in 2028.
At time in 2020, if everything goes according to plan, we discussed it offline the other day, he still would not be a focal point.
No, but I guess if he's here, then you still
That's
because we don't have a lot of true point guards coming up.
Wait 1 second. If Murray was good enough to play with arguably the best player in the world and run the point in this case for a championship team, what he
Mhm.
can't do for Team Canada?
No, I'm saying in 2028.
Okay, let's skip 2028 a second for a second.
Okay.
We get through 2024. And I'm sitting there going like, Jamal Murray in this case here right now is arguably some people would say is one of the 10 best point guards in the league in the NBA. And you
Yeah.
tell me,
Yes.
right? Yeah, thank you. I would say you could make arguments better than Halliburton, who plays for the team that Andrew Nemhart plays for.
Yeah, full strength. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can tell me we're running stuff for Andrew Nemhart. We're making sure we have him right. That's the philosophy. That makes no sense to me. None. Like, run your pick and roll. You can make a point that at at this point, Jamal Murray might be the best pick and roll guard in the world. I can make that argument.
Yeah.
And we ain't running one damn pick and roll for the man.
No. He was setting a pick for RJ to go downhill, but to your point, yeah.
Yeah. But this is a problem though. When Jamal Murray sees the Los Angeles Lakers, it's like he's Michael Jordan. He turns it on. He gives you 25, 8, and 8, and he's making big shot after big shot. And like Beyond said, like I can make an argument. He's one of the top 5 best point guards in the league. I can make an argument for that. Won a championship. And what I'm seeing with Team Canada, and Samson Folk tweeted this out during the game, he was like, I think they should be having Nemhard being the creator and have Murray space out. That's a problem.
It is.
That's a big problem.
Because like have Murray's a better creator.
Space. Yes, he's a better creator.
Right. Why the hell we have Jamal Murray spotting up from the corner? We can get any stiff from Canada's spot from the corner if that's what we're going to do.
Right, and this isn't a thing against Samson or Jordy right now, but it's just the optics right now. Jeez, and it's just the optics right now looks like. Well, I saw Jamal Murray in his rookie year play better than what he's playing right now.
Yes,
for Canada. Yeah. Now, and they say they're ramping him up. Okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think he's battling something right now, but at the same time, yeah, but at the same time. I know that I had mentioned, you asked a question about can they medal with RJ's number 2. I think they can medal, but if Murray's your second option, there's a better chance of also medaling. That increases your chances.
If we get postseason Murray on this team, now I'm thinking like I'm looking at potential gold. All right? Because that's what you'll need in this case to be a gold medal winner. He will need to play like that and SGA doing his thing. I can't have SGA doing his thing, and he's got no one coming along for the ride. Because RJ Barrett, God bless him, and Raptor fans, I'm sure you'll be waiting for him this year. He can't play at that level. As the kids like to say, there's levels to this. He can't play at that level. All right? There's only 2 players on this team that can play at that level. That if you're going to meet this blue, red, and white team, there's only 2 guys that can play at that level to drag the rest of you guys along. You know who's likely to play at that level? Strangely enough, if you get in the right frame of mind that day, bingo. That's the one other dude on the team that if he just goes, irrational confident dude. He'll just
he's not consistent with it, but like he has the random like I'm gonna punch way up above my level.
Right, exactly. He's the only other guy on this team where I can see that. Maybe Nemhard if he gets in the right frame of mind or in the right stylistic game against the Americans. That's possible because they want to run too, which may not be the best thing for us.
I think an important. Oh, sorry.
No, just that final point. To Beyond's point, if Shea and Jamal in the NBA, Brooks can take his level up because there's going to be so much attention towards them. Brooks can space the floor out, and the Noah board for the Raptors, it's benefited him the most of anybody in the world right now. It'll benefit the Raptor shooters. It benefits him.
RJ shooting free throws better in Olympic competition than he is with the Raptors. I noticed that the other day.
There's something in the water in Toronto, that's why. There must be something in the water.
Must be something in the water, man.
I was going to say one final point about Team Canada to move to the next thing is we were talking, and I'm going to actually put it on the screen and just kind of talk over it. Our shot chart is very different than most other teams' shot chart. Probably not named the US. And it's a very good even distribution. I hinted towards it before. I'll say it again now. When you see it on the screen, people, it'll be the red is going to be for Canada. So just keep that in mind. But you look at us versus Greece. I'm looking at it right now. And the beautiful thing about it is that you're seeing we are able to score from all 3 levels, right? Those other teams that are not named the Americans are looking to score threes and layups. Once you take that out, there's maybe like three shots that they took. They missed all three, and that's it. And they weren't hitting from the corner. We all know, yes, a 3 pointer is worth more than a two. However, the 3 point is more variable. And if you can shoot really well from two, it's actually worth more. You can do the math. I've done the math. If you shoot what Shea shoots, it's it's Shea shooting 50% from two, and that's worth more than 1/3 of three,
Well, I would go on your shot
or
chart. I would
whatever
say,
the math works out to be.
yeah, the shot chart's interesting because when you mentioned about the style of play of certain teams, you said in this case earlier on that Canada and USA probably the two teams that play like that. I would say there's probably two other teams that might fit that same profile. I wouldn't be surprised if Australia's shot chart looks very similar. I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if South Sudan's shot chart looks very similar. I
Yeah,
think, but I think to your point is a stylistic thing because I think a lot of the space, a lot of the European teams probably have that, layups, dunks, 3 point shot. That's about it.
yeah.
Um,
Because the
you know,
second that you get over that 50, like if you're shooting 45% or whatever from the long twos, or someone was making this point. I forget who it is, so I'm not going to credit them properly. But they were talking about Demar versus, Demar then versus Demar now, and it's like Demar then was taking long twos, but he was shooting like 38% on long twos, right? And now it's like he's shooting 52% on long twos. There's a very big difference.
mhm.
So we have a guy, and this is why I posted before on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. And I said this specifically. I said when you have a top five guy, it looks like Shea. It looks like a guy who could score comfortably, confidently from all three levels,
Mhm.
just easily, and he makes the game slow down to him. He can methodically get what he wants. You're not worried about his dribble like 9.9 times out of 10. He can take care of the ball. He makes good decisions. And by doing that, he's drawing doubles. He's still scoring through the doubles, and he's still also able to recognize the right reads from there.
And to put
You
a bow
know,
on
yeah.
it, the other guy we talked about just now should have the same type of profile. That's all I'm saying. He's capable of that
Oh,
too.
Murray, yeah. Oh, when I break it down, I'm not going to put that on the screen, but when I break it down and I look at Murray, it was decent. He was getting some mid range stuff, but he wasn't quite getting in and around the hoop. And he needs to do a better job they need to do a better job of finding ways to get him going downhill. Coach.
Just in fairness to Greece, though, it will not shock me if Greece goes to the next round. I watched Australia and Spain play. I can make an argument that I think Greece can beat them and better than them because it's the honest factor. They have nobody on either of their teams who's going to be able to stop him. And we happen to have more individual talent than Spain and Australia does. I'm not trying to minimize the Australians because they're really good, but I just think when you look at player for player matchups, Greece is going to be a problem for Australia and Spain, as they kind of were for us. They made some big threes. We can't do anything with Giannis, but nobody really is going to be able to do anything with Giannis unless you are maybe the Americans. That's about it.
And I think we have the physicality to get it done. Also, when you have the guards, it's a lot easier to generate your offense from there because you have guys who are experienced and more natural playmakers and play initiators. And we're gonna see that. Just a real quick question for both of you. Next round, say we make it, not looking at our half of the bracket. So let's just assume that we're not facing the Americans right away. Who do you think would be a tougher matchup for the Americans? Australia or Greece? I think it's Greece.
I think it's Australia.
It depends. I'm going with Greece because I'm assuming that Embiid's going to play.
I think
I'm going to say Greece.
Okay. Anyone care to defend your positions?
well, Australia. I think Australia has a few more ways to attack, and based on the game I watched a week or so ago, they can run and gun and their passing is good enough, that they can make things interesting that you don't know exactly where their attack is coming from. I think Greece is pretty basic of what they're going to do, and I think that's not good enough against the Americans. Like that just ain't gonna cut it.
That's fair.
I'm sorry.
I mean, the Australian
I mean,
team is more has more depth. That's for sure.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, look here at Serbia, right? Serbia's got a couple guys that play in the NBA, but we know all roads lead to the Joker. And even with them, at least last I checked, it's almost a 20-point lead. And that's a better talented team than Greece,
Yes.
right? They don't have any Bogdanovich out there or Jovic on that side that you might have to you definitely have to keep an eye on. You sit down there in the US, if you sitting there in that thing, just sitting there like almost a zone, and they got enough guys to play Giannis one-on-one, AD and stuff like that, and say, okay, get your 25. We'll just beat you by 25. All those long rebounds from three up the road. It's one pass dunk. So yeah, I like Australia's chances better to make a competitive game with the US than I do with Greece.
Yeah, I think those are great points. I mean, so with that being said, we're just going to move on to a more fun portion, just to kind of end off the Olympic stuff. And it would be talking about the presentation that we're watching right now and who it's being presented by, and that's
Who would that
NBC.
be? Cue
Yeah,
the music, boy. Here we
Peacock
go.
and NBC. Stay tuned.
Before I get copyright infringement or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
Basketball. Never mind. I won't sing. And then can you lose the subscribers for our show for
Hey, I'm
his
not
show?
monetized yet, so don't worry. Uh,
Uh,
so, but yeah, it's the NBC is coming back, and I thought, I have it on mute right now, but I thought that they were doing a good job of commentating. They made a couple of jokes. They said they used a pronoun joke for Durant. They said his pronouns are he and him because he is him because he
Yeah,
is dominating.
there's a Durant joke where it says something about um he is he I guess is referring to Durant's classic line about when he's talking about Patrick Beverly. You know who I am.
Yes, yes, yes.
When you think about Durant's had a lot of great quotes over the years. You don't even think about it. They're like now staples like basketball vernacular.
He is, yeah.
You're the real MVP. There's a ton of
I think he's got one of the best nicknames in the Slim Reaper. And he didn't
Slim
like it at
Reaper.
first. He said the other day, he said, I didn't think I lived up to the name. Now I think I do. I'm like,
Yeah, even like everybody one time to my wife, she goes, I like that name.
I love the
Yeah.
Slim Reaper, man. That's so cool.
I like it a bit more than Durantula too.
Yeah, oh, it's way
Uh,
better. Yeah, Slim Reaper's got coolness to it. It's like okay, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's like it's
The
like
DC sniper.
yeah, yeah.
Which today, ooh.
It's great. Yeah, you really want to use that one away quickly. But yeah, that one to me is Slim Reaper is one of my favorites. I mean, my favorite still of the modern era is still the Stifle Tower. I
my
always love it.
my favorite Durant moment, by the way, is when he just dunked on Golden State and he went like kill them, pray for them, and then just walked up the court, got a oh man, that was cold. Oh man.
But the presentation has been really clean. It's been really just like it's refreshing.
I
As
see
I
people
said,
getting
I
hyped up
mentioned,
for it too. Like
yeah,
they're
it's
getting
good,
hyped
man.
up. It's like all of a sudden people aren't complaining about TNT. They're like, oh man, I'm looking at it. Like it's like
Dude,
people forgot about the people talk about the Jordan era. They talk about this. They're so nostalgia, and then it's like they forgot about that and just focused on the TNT stuff. And it's like, no,
right,
that was like one of the best, like most memorable sports eras for
right,
basketball. Was
yeah,
like that and that music.
yeah, and I think in some ways that people had to get refreshed a little bit because people are saying like as if TNT grew the sport to where it was.
Yeah.
The head person that had the torch doing that was NBC with the combination, of course, Jordan doing his thing. But someone had to be the storytellers of that. They were the main storytellers, and like
Yep.
how they've done it, and even just setting this up, it's been so refreshing. Just hear just guys talking hoops, having fun with it, and just sticking with the basketball. No little hissy fit about so and so here talking trash about so and so. A couple days ago, like,
I
dude,
mean,
what are you like?
did you see the other day? This is like 2 days ago. Shaq is posting on Instagram something making fun of Rudy Gobert again, and it's just like, this is the problem, dude.
Right? Yeah, like, it's just really just it's so immature, and it's just there's a maturity factor where it's like, oh, here's what the big boys are how they do it. I think Wade. I forgot Wade actually. Wade calls a pretty nice game.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about him, because I think of him as the owner now, so I didn't think he would be. Because I know in TNT he wasn't part of the broadcast team anymore on the desk, which I said so from a couple of years ago. I like the Tuesday group better than the Thursday
So
group.
it's almost like they're taking away some of the talent too.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So I mean, with the Wade thing will be interesting because that might be a bit of I mean, that's young Eagle in this case, who I know a lot of people think is going to be a star. Iron
Yeah.
Eagle's son, he calls a nice game too. Pretty good. Not, just chip off the old block. And I think right now Tarico's going to be at the helm, which was an interesting call. I wasn't sure if he's going to be at the desk, which is what he is for the football games at sometimes, but he does do play-by-play to take over Al Michaels. So they're going straight to him at the play-by-play, which makes sense because Maria Taylor is the natural person. Guess what she used to do before she went to NBC? As we all know, in infamous fashion, she was running the basketball product. So I think Maria Taylor will likely be the person running the thing at the desk with whoever guys she has there. And I think Tarico, who's arguably the best play-by-play guy out there, not named Kevin Harlan, um, that's gonna be something. That's gonna be something, man. They're gonna have a nice broadcast, man. I don't know. I'm not sure who they have there. I love to see them pinch Jamal Crawford. I'm cool
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
it, but yeah, I love to get that. And I honestly, if they're now they have a little WNBA coverage, I would love for one of those channels to kind of see if they get Candace Parker, who I think might be arguably.
Oh man, she'd be so great. And if they could, they won't. Hubie Brown won't leave ESPN or ABC,
Oh
whoever
no,
he's with. But
no,
but
No.
oh, Hubie and Candace are my favorite
yeah,
by
but
far.
NBC is doing WNBA games, and if they
Yeah.
are, they need some WNBA talent. They don't really have anyone in the closet right now, in the thing, and in the background in this case for WNBA stuff. So they got to start that from scratch. Um, yeah, but she would be the first pick I would make in this case here. Who would do the play-by-play? That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just a clean broadcast, man. I'm enjoying it, man. I'm looking forward for the next 2-3 weeks of that, man.
So, as we've been talking, the game has been progressing, and I could probably, at this point, say that there's absolutely no possible way that Serbia will
Oh, it's
catch up.
over on my end.
Oh, okay, it's
Yeah,
already over on your end. So yeah, it's
it's
just about
over. Yeah.
over.
Can I
So
just
it's
say
107 to 84.
one thing I will say with the Americans? Yo, USA basketball, man. And I speak to you young fellas, man. They do a lot of talk on social media and stuff like that. When the 40-year-old's still the best player on your nation, that shouldn't be happening. He almost had a triple double today. That shouldn't be happening, guys. By the way, Olympic fact. He's the only guy ever to have a triple double in Olympics history.
Ever?
Ever.
No one else has had a triple double?
Oh, I
Really?
because it's 40-minute games and they're sharing the ball a little bit more, it's much more democratic. You don't get those opportunities as much.
I
And
mean,
it's,
there's certain Australian fella almost had one yesterday, but he did not.
Beyond,
He did not.
just to your point there about LeBron and Team USA, I think you mean like it's. I get what you're saying, but to also speak to his greatness, though, how great he is at 40 years old, he's still this good.
no, I mean, I no, for sure. Like LeBron's
It's
thing,
a
but
bit of both.
it's a bit of both, right? Because I think the
Yeah,
Olympics, in some ways, the international competition does have a moment of where the torch is transferred over, right? When that 2008 team, which I think it was, right, and things were getting tight against Spain. Now we know Bean was going to show up. God rest his soul. You know he was going to be there.
yeah,
The
Right.
question was, with that team, it was a bit of a next generation. Who else was going to come along for the ride with Bean? It was LeBron, and he's like, oh, "Okay, this is your time, son." There's nobody showing up at the moment yet where it's like, "This is your time, son." Like and I thought in some ways it's still early with the FIBA competition Ant-Man had last year, and then rolled into the season, which you find that happens a lot too. We saw it with Vince Carter, where he just dunks over a Frenchman, he never shows his face again, and then next thing you know, he has one of his best seasons the next year. Afro Vince is still my favorite Vince of all time. I wish
yeah.
he became dead or wherever the case may be. That Vince, I mean, can I just ball that up for the rest of his career? But the fact is, usually that ends up being the case. Ant-Man would be the likeliest person, him or Tatum. And right now, Ant-Man's played well, but nothing I've seen jump out. And I don't even know if Tatum even got off the bench today, right? Like,
He's picking splinters out. out of his
Right.
butt today, I guess. But
Like I'm just saying, man, like these are the guys, technically this is their generation.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's not Steph or LeBron, KD. This is your generation.
yeah,
yeah.
I'm
because those are
watching.
the elder statesmen, to be fair.
But my point too, LeBron looks so good in this, and I know he's always going to be ready for the season, but he looks like he might be able to play 4 years from now. That's how good he looks. I know it's not going to happen, don't get me wrong, but this guy is just unbelievable. How he treats his body in the off season. I've often said I think he's the best conditioned athlete ever to do what he's been doing for 20 years.
Yeah, I would
Eh,
say I would throw him and Djokovic are probably the two guys where it's like, holy smokes, are you still here? Like Djokovic is one of the few guys like if he's down 2 sets of love on any surface, I'm sticking around a little longer because I ain't sure about this just yet because I
Right.
might be here 4 hours from now. He's in the fifth set with someone. So, but I don't know what it is. I just want one of these guys to show up. Like I'm coming along with the ride with you, LeBron, as he did with Kobe. And I don't see right now at the moment anyone kind of stepping up with that. And it's we'll see. It's still
Even
early.
Durant, if you think about it, Durant's part of that generation. He's a little bit younger, but like he's part of that generation, the Curry generation. So it's like, to your point, it's like you have to have the youngins kind of step up a little bit, right? Your Tatum's, who didn't get off the bench either, step up.
Halliburton did get off the bench, by the way. He's
Halliburton also
yeah.
did not get off the bench. So yeah,
But it's the same thing too. In 2028, there's 7'5" Frenchman, along with a 7 foot guy who just got drafted to Washington, along with another 6'10" guy that's going to Atlanta, number one. Like they're just pumping new prospects everywhere, and you kind of look at them in 2028 and be like, yeah, okay, this might be the next big uh, country in the world to really challenge the Americans, if not be better than
I
them.
think the
well,
one thing I would say put a caveat on that is they got to produce better guards.
yes,
Until they do
Yeah,
that, then I can't say they're going to be at the level of the Americans yet. They got to produce better guards. If you put
yeah,
France's front court with Canada's back court, that would be that team would deal with the Americans pretty handily.
yeah. And you could say this,
yes,
just to touch on NBA for just a second. We'll talk about it one of these days, but yeah, there is a little bit of a lost generation for sure. Of where guys didn't, because it's over, right? Like in like 2 years, it's a Wemby and
Yeah,
Thing league, and Shea is right in the middle of that too, and Luca, like it's done, it's over.
that Jokic, Embiid, Giannis era of like that their generation's been just pretty much crushed. I mean, there's not they
They
got
have, you're right. They have like 2 years left to your point to really have like the best chance where it's like definitive. I mean, they might still, but like, it gets tougher after that. But yeah, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
looking forward to the 2025 season with NBC. I am looking forward for a fresh, clean start. Love what I've seen so far. Cue the round ball rock, man. That's all I gotta say.
Coach?
Canada and Australia, Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. This is going to be a big game. I think if Canada can pull this off, I think it's might be safe to say they can get to the next round. And I think Canada will match up better with Australia, but all it takes is a bit of a flat game from like a Shea or an RJ, and then you're going to be in some trouble. So let's just hope that Canada comes out strong and that we get a win against Australia. It's going to be tough.
Okay, I will say this: like, comment, and subscribe on your way in or out. I will also say this very clearly: if you are in the middle of the Olympics talking about Scotty Barnes or any sort of Raptors, perhaps watch Olympic basketball. It is actually a basketball that is relevant right now because it is being played. And if you are still wanting to talk about that, uh, seek help if you need it. Because, become a basketball fan for at least a little bit of time, and go from there. With that being said, people, take care, have fun. It's the summer, and peace.